So Kirsten, I know when we first started talking about, forest carbon, it was because of this growing global recognition of the role that forests play and standing forests play in the fight against climate change. And we recognized early on that that was going to be kind of a leading edge sort of approach to forestry would be to manage for carbon. And we immediately thought about engaging you guys at the Forestland Group. So Kirsten, just describe a little bit about the Forestland Group for us.
Sure. So the Forestland Group is in the market what's known as a timberland investment management organization. And we own and manage large tracts of land as an investment for largely institutional investors and pension funds.
And so like most landowners, it's really important to the Forestland Group to be able to make a profit, right?
Absolutely.
For your shareholders. And
it's what we're doing. We're driven. We're an investment group. So. Right. We are judged and based on our returns, and we're given additional capital based on our returns.
So how has this sort of, global awareness about climate change and the role that forests play in the context of climate change and a recognition of the value of forests as, a carbon sink, essentially being able to pull carbon out of the atmosphere and store it, how has that sort of bigger picture context helped you guys think about doing a carbon project?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we acknowledge and recognize is that we are a large landowner in the Southeast, and we do own a significant part of the Southern Appalachian Forest. And so where we can be a model for other landowners and other, concepts or ideas, we try to do that. We try to be leaders. And so when we first were approached by the Dogwood Alliance to think about how we could perhaps serve the Southern Appalachian market and demonstrate to landowners that we could create value out of carbon, we looked at one of our large properties, it's about 140,000 acres, and thought about how we could manage or continue to manage that in a way that was consistent with our management objectives and our management plan, but simultaneously monetize the co-benefits of the carbon project in either a voluntary or a cap and trade market.
We're standing here between two trees right here, and we hear typically a lot that, from a forest management perspective, that these trees are don't have a lot of value, that they're sometimes referred to even as waste wood because there's no value in them. They're not quality saw timber. How does forest management for carbon change the way that a forester would be thinking about the value of these kinds of trees?
Yeah. So typically a forester would come out, they would measure its diameter breast height, which is the size kind of at breast height. Not the most sophisticated way to think about it, but it's a convenient way to throw a D-tape around a tree. And then they would put it into a product class. So some of the product classes are pulpwood, small saw timber, large saw timber, or veneer. A tree like that, given its size and given its form class, would definitely be a pulpwood tree. And a pulpwood tree is the lowest value tree in a forest. And oftentimes we end up having to pay a logger to take them out because it doesn't pay for them to take it to the pulp mill. With the addition of a carbon overlay on a forest land, that tree actually has a lot of value because it's sequestering carbon and it has biomass value. And so it actually creates an incentive to leave things in the woods that we may not leave in the woods otherwise. Additionally, trees like this, which are actually what we call standing dead, in a traditional timber harvesting environment would come out because it'd be in the way of a skidder and it'd be a hazard tree.
Right.
In a carbon market, we actually measure it. We measure its total height, we measure its form class, and we give it value for its biomass, just like we would for any other product class.
Yeah, it's a real paradigm shift to be thinking about, a future where standing trees actually have value and potentially increasing value over time at a point where it becomes more valuable to leave them standing than to log them.
It absolutely is.